right, welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books you can still probably find tucked away in those cheap boxes, those dollar bin, those discount boxes, whether you're doing your shopping at like a Goodwill, a yard sale, a flea market, or just the regular old cheap boxes at your LCS. These are some books I think you might be able to find in there, related to some of the comics that just came out, some news, rumors, announcements, things going on in TV shows and movies, etc. Just kind of relevant topics that tie into books that you might be able to go and dig out of boxes for cheap. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, hey, it's Halloween. Is he going to do a Halloween-themed episode? I decided against it. Because we've done that before. I feel like I've covered a whole bunch of books that you can look for the Halloween time, type digging. And, it's going to pass. So I just figured I'd do a regular old show. So hopefully you don't mind. And if you want to see the books that I got for you, just hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be right back. All right, so let's just get right into it. And as we normally do, we're going to go look at some books related to some comics that came out this week. So if you're like me and you actually read comic books and you got your weekly pull list and you were reading some of this week's books and you realize, hey, there's some fun characters showing up that I can probably go and find their first appearances, etc., out there if I decide to go digging this weekend. First up, Amazing Spider-Man number 60. This is the end, I believe, for Zeb Wells' run. I haven't really loved this run, but I keep getting it because, well, I'm a collector at heart. I'm not going to have a gap in my Amazing Spider-Man run. I'm still trying to fill it out, going all the way back to the beginning. I still got plenty of the big key books I still got to buy, but I'll get there eventually. But point being, I'm still getting this, and yeah, it wasn't terrible. It was all right, but there's a few things that you can find in here. One thing, if you're reading this book, you might have noticed is a character here in a backstory. It was like an anniversary-sized issue, so it was a little bit oversized. There were a couple of little tails. In the back, there was this little side tail featuring this character, Bushwhacker. This guy right here. I know he kind of reminds you of that mutant maggot with the hands and he had to turn into weapons. I mean, it is what it is. It's fine. And I know I'm bringing up mutants, and this guy is completely anti-mutant, but that's a story for his first appearance. With that said, Bushwhacker's first appearance actually is tied in with Daredevil. And yes, no, not this Bushwhacker. I know what you're thinking. These guys, no, not these guys, not from Australia. This guy is mutant hunter, or at least he was, could transform his hands into weapons. But I still thought of these two. Every time I read Bushwhacker, I can't help but think of these guys. But with that said, we're going to move on to his first appearance, which was actually in Daredevil 248 back in the day. This is the start of that crossover with Wolverine and Daredevil, so a lot of people go and hunt it just for that reason. But in the mix, we are also introduced to Bushwhacker way back in July 1987. Here is his first appearance. Again, he's here hunting mutants. That's what he's doing at this. And this is also why Wolverine gets involved and Daredevil, etc. But here he goes. This guy with his bright red shirt is going and hunting. At this time, we don't know who this guy is. We don't really know much about him. We don't know a name or anything, but that's him. So this would be technically his first appearance. This book is relatively cheap. You can see here copies have sold for $5, $1.58, $1.75 were some recent sales. Asking prices $2.99, $4, $6. It's a minor first appearance. It's not like a big deal character, but it's still one of those fun books you can go out there and find and go and dig. Now, to accompany this book, this is 248. You might want to get the other part of the crossover, and we get a little more information here, and that's 249. So here we get the cool Wolverine versus Daredevil cover. Again, this is one a lot of people go and pick up. This was from August of 1987. And inside here, we actually get his name, Bushwhacker. It's right here. No, not quite. I wanted you to remember the Bushwhacker. So here's where he actually introduces himself and gives himself a name. So it is kind of important to that character, but it's also, again, this next part of that crossover with Wolverine and Daredevil. So you want to look for it for that reason, too. With that said, this one's always done a little bit better than the other one because of the cover and the Wolverine, etc. So you can see here the pair of them have sold for $12 recently. The other one, another 2-pack for the 2 issues, even though they're only showing the picture of one, only $6 and $8 just for this cover here. So it depends on where you find it, condition, etc. Could be a little bit more expensive. This cover here could sell as cheap as $3.67, $6, $8. You're not going to get rich if you find it. But again, it's kind of a fun book. You're digging in those boxes. You come across a Daredevil run. It's something to look for. You know, I mean, while you're looking for first appearance of Blackheart, maybe Typhoid Mary, etc., you might as well also be looking for this little bitty here with first Bushwhacker and also that crossover with Wolverine, which ain't too bad. Now, moving on, another book that was new this week that we had a chance to read was this, NYX, I think it's issue 4. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm still kind of enjoying this little series here. I mean, again, I may not be the target audience for it. I mean, with all the younger mutants in the city of New York, but I can still kind of appreciate it for what it is. And one of the feature players on this squad and this team, I know we're already at issue 4, but it doesn't hurt for us to go back. Plus, she got that feature cover there with Inhyuk Lee, which is pretty awesome, is Sophia Cuckoo. So here, you know, right here, one of the Cuckoos. She is the standout, I think the eldest of the group. I think it's Sophie, right? Yeah, Sophie Cuckoo. There's a long sort of, I don't want to say history, but it takes a while before we really get to know much about these characters. So I'm going to go dig into it right here. So a lot of places, if you go and look online, will say that the Cuckoos and her first appearance is here in New X-Men 118. It's got, you know, a Cyclops cover. Yeah, that's right. It was during that Quietly run with Grant Morrison. So cool. I mean, it was a fun little ride, and we got introduced to a lot of new mutants in this time frame. But just to put context around it, again, you go looking, you go searching, you go on eBay, you search, hey, first appearance of the Cuckoos. This book will come up a lot, but just understand what you are buying. So inside this book, yeah, there they are in these 2 panels, standing behind Miss Frost. And yeah, they do talk. They say, yes, Miss Frost. We don't got any names. They're just called girls. They got glowy eyes, and they're all just standing there. That's really it. That's all that's in this book is right here. You got them way back in the distance, and then a little bit of a close-up. So that's the first appearance you're paying for, just so you're aware of that. I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong, cameo, this first full, all that other stuff. I'm just letting you know what's actually inside the guts of this book and what you are paying for. So if you want this for that reason, just know that's all you're getting. This book isn't that expensive, but again, it is pointed out as their first, so it does command a bit of a premium. Some sales for $12, but other times you can see at auction $3, or it could sell as cheap as like $5. So again, it's not automatically expensive, but it can get pricier. As you can see, sometimes you're hitting, you know, again, $12. Asking prices kind of in that same thing. They're cheap ones looking for $5, $8, and then maybe 13. Still, you're not going to get rich, but fun little book to go and find, especially if you're digging through this new X-Men run. Now, continuing with this run, they are featured throughout a few more issues here or there. Again, just background players, 1 panel here, 1 panel there. I'm not showing you all those 1 panel first panel appearances or whatever you want to call them. They're here and there. They're scattered throughout. Again, unnamed. We got to go all the way. That was what, 118? We got to go another 5 issues to issue 123 after a couple of more little drops here and there with them in the background before we get something else. And all we really get out of this one is we get one of their names. We don't get all of their names. We just get one of their names. Actually, no, we just get them called the Stepford Cuckoo. So we get their group name, but we don't get introduced to all of them. Realistically, the only one that kind of stands out early on is Esme, and she starts dating this alien that turns out to be, it was weird. It was Morrison. It was kind of a weird story. But we finally did get the Stepford Cuckoo's name here in 123. So look for that Wolverine cover. So I just want to point that out, that we get introduced to the group name finally after 5 issues here. Now, this book, 99 cents. You can see it sold in a few issues for $4.56. It's a $1 book all day. Asking price is even $2.39, $4. Not a pricey book, but if you want them actually named, this would be the book for you. Now, moving on further, we're going to go to this issue here. Again, more and more issues down the line. This is 134. So we got another almost dozen issues here before we get a little bit more to these characters. Granted, this book is already sought after for other reasons. This is being Quentin Quire's first appearance, but This is the first time we get some more of their names, including Sophie's name. So you can see here which one is Sophie. They're all the same. There's Sophie, etc. And this is also the introduction again to Quentin Quire. So this is kind of an important book for that reason. But if you want Sophie's first name, first time she's actually named, it's this issue. So you're going to look for that as well. Again, you're going to pay that premium for Quentin, but it's a good book to go and find if you can dig it out anyway. That said, it still sells pretty cheap. Look, $10, $11, a lot of 3 issues. That had first appearance of Dust mixed in there too. It was only $11.61 at auction. Asking prices, $10 for a pair of books, $11 here, $10 there. Kid Omega, I still like the character. I like Quentin Quire. I like Kid Omega, but you get a little bit more on the Cuckoos. You get introduced to Sophie's name too, so it's an added little extra. Now, also in NYX, we're introduced to the villain. The villain of the series, not in this issue. Again, he's shown up already, but he's featured here on the front cover. He's featured on the regular cover A. I keep showing the Sophie cover because I like it. But on the cover A, you do see the Krakoan, and he's there inside the issue as well. He's the running bad guy so far of this series, but he didn't always go by this name, the Krakoan. So let's just quickly run through his little bit of a history here for books that you can go back and pick up if you're interested. Before he was the Krakoan, he was Julian Keller, introduced way back in the second volume of New Mutants. I think it's the second volume. It's like 2000. Yeah, there it is. June 2003, issue 2 of this run of New Mutants. Awesome cover run here by Middleton at the start of it, and then Chris Bacalo picked it up after that. Great run. Get it for those covers alone if you find them in the cheap boxes. But along with that, you get a bunch of first appearances throughout this run. You got Elixirs mixed in there and a couple other characters here and there. But here we're looking at the first appearance of Julian Keller. This is him, getting introduced down here, but he's this, dark-haired, young guy here. But this is where he's introduced. This is Julian. Now, he doesn't have a code name or anything like that. We don't know much about him yet, what his powers are or whatever. We just see him with other mutants, etc. Julian Keller is introduced here in issue 2. Now, this book could do all right. Again, this is a popular cover run, so some people might ask for a bit more for it for that reason, but you can still find copies for $2.75, $6. There's a couple of issues together for $5.84. Not expensive. Some issues listed might be looking for $6, $7, but that's really it. Fun book you can go and find and go and dig out there, and it's a first appearance with a cool cover. Even though the character whose first it is isn't on the cover. I mean, that's Danny Moonstar on the cover here, but it's still a cool cover. Now, eventually, he does take on a name, which was a name of like some, it was like a little gang inside of I was going to say Hogwarts, inside Professor X's school. So Xavier's school, there was the Hellions. There was a group of, mutants who were kind of tough guys, whatever you want to call it. He ended up taking on that name for his own just by himself. So Julian Keller took that name of Hellion in this issue here, all the way in issue 10. Again, this is when Bacalo picked up. Again, you can see more cool covers here, but he picked up the reins after Middleton. So here's issue 10, came out in March of 2004. And inside the guts of this book is where you see all of these team members forming this New Mutants run, this new era of mutants start taking on their names and their, what their call signs, I guess, would be. And here is what he picks Hellion and say, singular for me, whatever. Now, this book, pretty cool cover. You can find this one out there. Sells in lots, but I didn't want to put all those lots in here because they were like the full run. It was like the full run for like $20 or $30, and it's like 12 issues, etc. So I didn't want to put those in here. No single sale issues, so I left it off. But if you're shopping for one, $3, $6, again, not a pricey book. Something you can go and find out there if you want to go and digging. And that's the whole point of this, is for me to give you books that you can go and find in these cheap boxes when you're out there digging for fun, connect to some of the things you're reading right now, etc. Now, with that said, for any of you out there who haven't tried Whatnot before, now's your chance. Use my link below. Get yourself a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. Just download the app, use the link, sign up. You get $15 to spend wherever you want. Like I said, you help the channel out. You get yourself something nice. You really got nothing to lose. So give it a try if you haven't already. Moving on, we're going to go over to DC now for our next book, and we're going to see this special that came out this week. It's the 5th week, and 5th week generally means for DC that they don't give us new issues of most of their long-running titles. We sometimes get a random issue here or there. I think this week we only got Action, but outside of that, you get a lot of annuals, you get a lot of one-shots, and things like that. So we got that Poison Ivy one-shot, and we got this Penguin special this week, which is trying to promote the Penguin TV show, which is one of the best things on TV right now, in my personal opinion. With that said, what's inside this special? It's $6. There's a pretty cool one, like, new story inside here that kind of connects with the TV show in the sense that they call him Cobb, not Cobblepot. So they're kind of carrying that over from the show to the comics, I guess, seeing how that'll transition. It's a really cool story. It's messed up. It's a dark story, but it's kind of short, and it's the only new thing in here. It's a small little bit right at the start. After that, there are a few reprints inside this issue, including Penguin's way first appearance back in the original Detective run. But outside of that, there isn't a lot else you can talk about here. Here's inside the story for the new character we're in. We're actually introduced to Madeline, who is the Penguin's wife, I guess, that she runs off. And remember that tale they did back in like that Birds of Prey run? We're introduced to all these Penguin kids, and they end up getting killed, or he ended up taking care of them. Anyway, they were her kids. Now he's kind of keeping her on lockdown. Kind of, you got to read it. I don't want to spoil everything for you. It's a messed up story, pretty cool. Go ahead and read it. But I believe this is the first time we're actually introduced to her, as far as I could find. So for this reason, you might want to get this new issue, and who knows, maybe it's something down the line. But also inside this book are some reprints of some other stories featuring the Penguin from Secret Origins. So the Secret Origins special is also in there from August of 1989. So I know you've seen this book before. This book is popular. I would always grab this at a dollar. It's got that cool cover, and it's a Boland, and classic villains for Batman. I mean, why not, right? But this book, it's very cheap. You can see here, $2.50, $3. That's all this thing sells for. You can find copies if you're shopping for $2.70, $4. Not an expensive thing. So this is definitely a book you can go out there and dig out of those cheap boxes for fun. And it's one of the stories that's inside that Penguin. So if you don't spend the $6 for the new issue, you go spend $1, maybe you find part of it here. The other part you might be able to find is the this issue, Joker's Asylum, Penguin #1, which is another book that's reprinted inside this special, or at least a story from it. July 2008 is when this one came out, and this is another book you can find out there for cheap. It's not expensive, $2.79, $2.50, and well, there's one there that got $11.60. I mean, granted, it also had free shipping, so you take $5-6 off of it, so it's still only a $5-6 sale. So, all right, $3 to $6, still not bad. Available copies also $2.50, $3, $4. Very cheap book. Again, another thing I'm sure you can go out there and find if you go digging. This is something you could find. And pretty cool cover, and give you some more backstory on the more sinister side of the Penguin. Not just the goofy guy with all the sea-themed theatrics and penguin people like Danny DeVito. But some cool stuff in here. Anyway, outside of this, we also got another book that we can look at here, and this is Sectaurs #1. Sectaurs is 80s toy property from way back in the day that got part of the Nassel-verse, I guess, that Oni is doing now. So they're created with Biker Mice from Mars. You got RoboForce, you got Sectaurs, etc. Cool. I mean, I thought Sectaurs were interesting as toys from back in the day. There was all bug themed, like they're bug people riding these big bugs, etc. Now, Sectaurs 1 came out this week. I haven't had a chance to read this one yet, but you know what it's going to connect to. The first time we actually see this new version of this universe is actually in the introductory Nassel-verse #0, which came out a few months ago. And this is something you can find pretty cheap out there. Yes, and it's got the Power Lords, it's got the Biker Mice, it's got RoboForce, and the Great Galoo. It introduces you to all of them. So that's kind of what this is, little intro book. It only sells for $2, $4.80. Nothing special. You can find copies listed for $4 to $5, so right around that cover price mark, but I'm sure you could find it for less than cover if you go out there digging at shops, because this never really took off on its own. But hey, who knows? If one of these stories becomes a breakout, I mean, we might go gravitating back towards this. But this is just one little extra. Outside of this, if you actually want to go back to the first comic book appearance of Sectaurs, don't worry, you can find those too in dollar bins. You can find the entire run if you want. It's only like 8 issues. Came out in 1985. Here's the first issue for Sectaurs. Marvel, 75 cents. Pretty cool. You see here, they only sell for what? 99 cents, 99 cents, 99 cents. It's a dollar book. I mean, it is what it is. And then copies listed $2, $1.99. It's not a pricey book. It's definitely something you could find. And like I said, you can find the whole run. It's only 8 issues. Yes, the final issue might be a little harder to find, and it's always one of those fun little gems, those last issues to know. I like covering those. And I think I might even covered that one before. It might sell for a couple bucks more, but grab any of them that you can find because it's Sectaurs. Why not, right? And it's only 8 issues. It's not a hard little set for you to go out there and complete and go and dig for. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You should just do it just because, for fun. And one of the other things you always got to just do is you got to protect all the books that you buy. So while you're doing that, you might as well save yourself some money. You can use my link, use the code here, Renna10 to save yourself 10% off your BCW order because you need bags and boards, you need boxes, you need top loaders, etc. You're going to buy them anyway, so might as well save some money while you do. So if you're doing it, use my code, Renna10, save yourself 10%. Like I said, you help us out, you get yourself the stuff you're going to get anyway, and cool, right? All right. With that said, we're going to keep rolling on and go into one more book that I have related to television shows. So we did some Penguin stuff before, but today we're going to do something a little different. Wonderman. As you know, Wonderman is coming next December. It's a ways off. Yes, it still is a ways off, but you'll see this book's starting to heat up again. And while you do so, it's been in those dollar boxes buried once again. So it heated up once before, dropped back down. Now it's coming back up. So might as well go dig this weekend for your Wonderman number ones. Because again, we're getting some set photos. So we are getting this. It is coming. Here we go. Here's one of those set photos right here. You can see them. Cool. Silhouetted. You don't get a real good look at anything, but there you go. Getting teased. But here we go. Wonderman. Not going to go for his first. That goes way too far back and is way too pricey. But you can get his solo works, and that what seems to be what a lot of people are gravitating towards with this series coming. Like that's the ones that have been heating up. So with that said, the first one is from 1985, the first Wonderman run. You got Bill Sienkiewicz, I believe, did this cover. So look for this book. It popped once, it fell back down. Maybe it's popping again. We'll see. But for now, $2.99, $2, $1.99 are some recent sales listings. $3, $8, $5.50. Again, it's not a pricey book. It kind of fell back down, but it's one you could probably go and dig. And who knows? Before too long, people start getting excited. Before this series comes out, maybe we hear some rumors of what it's actually adapting. Maybe we start seeing some movement on these series too, and this becomes a $15, $20 book again. Who knows? Doesn't hurt to go and find it and go dig for it for cheap. Also, the 90s series. So from 1991, you can also find this one with the free poster inside. Another book. This has littered dollar bins for decades. This popped once before. Who knows? Maybe it does again. But $3.50, $2, up to $9. That's the high sale. And we'll see where it goes from there. Asking prices, $1, $3, and again, highs at 10. Maybe it goes higher than that. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't hurt for you to go out there and dig for those books because, they're out there. They are out there. And with all that said, that's all I got for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you didn't mind that I didn't go with the Halloween theme, considering it is Halloween today. But I don't know, just felt like just doing the normal old books because I don't know, I find this stuff interesting. And these are the kind of fun little things I'll go and dig for when I'm flipping through boxes because you want to make it worth your time, worth your effort. You're digging through the box anyway. Sure, you can just walk away and not spend any money, or you can pick up a couple of books just because you're like, you know what? They got this. They got this first Bushwhacker in here. Might as well. It's only $1. Just for fun. It's a hobby after all. It's one of my favorite things to do. But with that all said, hopefully you enjoyed this. Check out my links that I mentioned down below. Again, you help out the channel, get yourself some free stuff, some stuff at a discount, etc. I mean, why not, right? And don't worry, got plenty more content coming your way. And with that all said, I'll see you all later. All right.